Hello, everybody. This is Johnnie Geathers. Welcome to the JG Mental Health Fridays. Hope all of you having a great day so far. If you just got your day started, I hope you have a great day. Today's topic is a request for someone. I thank you for this request because I actually never talked about this before, but I'm gonna just give it a shot and see how I do. And then based on you looking at this video, you might give me a yay or a nay. But the topic I will be talking about today is budget cuts for nonprofit organizations. Whenever a nonprofit organization is receiving funding, we already know budget cuts hurts when it comes to nonprofit organizations. And I want to talk about the effects of what happens when budget cuts happen within nonprofits and how it impacts them as an organization, but also impacts the people that are working within those organizations, along with the people that are being served from those organizations. So the first effect is that reduced services. So whenever a nonprofit is getting a budget cut, that means certain services are getting cut. I know from my last video, I told you about the chaos in the current administration and how whenever they cut something, that's actually impacted people that actually receive services for certain things. So when an organization is dealing with a budget cut, that means certain services had to get reduced. And it could be some services that it really impacts people that really rely on those services, but they can't fully push it forward because it had to get cut because of a budget cut. So the reduction of services, I know some of us look at it when it comes to nonprofit organizations, when we look at different things that they'll do, like certain events, community organizing events, fundraisers, charities, all those different things. So whenever a budget cut is happening, services are going to get reduced. The second thing is workforce reduction. So whenever a budget cut is happening within a nonprofit organization, that means certain people are going to be let go from their jobs. So whenever you noticing that a budget cut is happening, you got to wonder like, all right, is my job even going to be saved, or are they going to let me go because of a budget cut? And we notice that this happens every year, especially when it's a fiscal year for certain organizations, when it's time to renew budgets or they got to deal with reports with budgets, audits, all those different things. So whenever a budget cut is happening within a nonprofit, or workforce reduction happens where they got to let people go, let certain jobs go, which lead into people not being jobless, not being able to make ends meet, having issues with finances, all those things play into a part. The third effect when it comes to a budget cut in a nonprofit organizations is cutback of activities / locations. So the biggest thing I want to talk about is location. So say you have a nonprofit organization and you're noticing that it's doing well in one area, and now you're branching off and putting it in different locations. So whenever a budget cut is happening, that means you might have to cut back one of the locations that you opened up. So we see this a lot when it comes to like retail and marketing and all those different things. But when it comes to nonprofits, if you have a lot of different organizations that's out there and they have different locations, certain locations will get cut. The most infamous one I could think of in my head right now, and I'm not sure if it's a nonprofit, but I believe it's a nonprofit because most of their stuff is through funding and everything. The YMCA. So the YMCA, we know the YMCA is a nationwide thing, and there's different locations in different neighborhoods. And if there's a budget cut that's happening locally, nationally, that means locally certain locations of the YMCA is going to get closed. I know, for example, in Pittsburgh, there was a YMCA in downtown Pittsburgh, and that actually got closed because of a budget cut. So noticing that whenever a budget cut is happening, that certain locations are going to get cut. And when I said activities, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about, reducing of services. But certain activities that you're used to doing on a yearly basis will get cut as well too, and everything. And then the last effect of a budget cut for a nonprofit organization is that the broad economic the broad economic repercussions. So whenever a budget cut is happening with a nonprofit, that means it's not just affecting the organization, but it's affecting everybody. When something is getting cut that is really beneficial, not just for the community, but nationwide, it's going to affect the economic system. Like, most people don't realize that everything that we do in life runs as a system. So if one part is being cut, everything else is going to be affected. So looking at, the finances of things when it comes to like stocks, bonds, trade, personal business, all those different things, that whenever a budget cut is happening with a nonprofit, that there's a broad economic repercussions. So again, the examples of the effects of nonprofit organizations being affected by budget cuts: reduced services, workforce reduction, cutback of activities / locations, and broad economic repercussions. So the coping exercise I want to leave you with talking about this topic of nonprofits dealing with budget cuts and everything and funding cuts, is collaboration. I think it's important for organizations to collaborate with each other and share the resources. Most of the time, most of these organizations have the resources that is reaching out to sustain a common goal. So like, for example, say if your common goal is to reduce the stigma of mental health, your organizations might want to come together and host a big event to do mental health awareness. And with that being, happening, that could help sustain both of your organizations on an economic level, but also on an educational level for the community, and to be able to collaborate and do different services. With certain organizations, we know that gatekeeping is a big thing, but we got to realize that we can't really gatekeep something that's supposed to be given out to everybody in general. So being able to collaborate amongst the nonprofit organizations can help out a lot, especially when a budget cut is happening. So if a budget cut is happening and one of your things is being impacted, you might be able to merge with another organization that still is able to do that service, so you can still put your business or your organization out there and everything. But other than that, that's all I'm going to leave you with today. I hope all of you appreciated this message. If you have any works or topics that you want me to address on JG Men on Fridays, you can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to check out the videos on there. Also, go on my website through Wix to check out the videos on there. Learn more about me. Check out articles I did for Health Living Magazine, and ways to connect me for speaking engagements and other opportunities. As always, I love all of you and appreciate all of you for your love and support. And now I'm going to leave you with the closing message. Reflect on the positives, plan ahead, and relax. RPR. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Be well. Be blessed. And peace.